Hello. Now isn't spring one of those times where we want to get so much cleaning done, we want to finally declutter that one area that we never access, and then we also want to deep clean a bunch of rooms, and the next thing you know it feels super overwhelming and you don't get any of it done, or barely as much as you had the initial intention of doing. So as a motivation to myself, and hopefully to you as well, to get a bunch of those home tasks that you've been meaning to for quite some time, well, I thought that I would showcase how I kind of break up this time myself. So first thing, of course, put on some clothes that you don't really care what happens to them. Now as for the first home task agenda, let me ask you, how often do you refresh your mattresses? And I'm not just talking about changing the bed linens, but also giving the mattresses a good clean. And in particular for those rooms that you hardly ever access, so maybe things like an extra guest bedroom that you don't really go to that often. And in our case, that was the attic bedroom. And so recently when I went to go grab something from the attic bedroom, I noticed that it had that sort of musty smell. I mean, it wasn't smelling the freshest. And that got me thinking, okay, probably it's time to at least give these mattresses a clean, because I don't think I've done that since we first got them, or probably in over 2 years. So this morning I already made a head start by first vacuuming this area, then bringing down the mattresses, and then sprinkling some baking soda on there. And baking soda is a good natural deodorizer. And now I want to get a head start and doing the same thing on the mattress in the attic bedroom that's still upstairs. So first I should probably clean up the items that are on the bed. Okay, first part done. And now removing the mattress protector. If you don't have one of these, then definitely get a mattress protector, even in the bedrooms that you don't access that often, or that even guests don't use that often. So whenever I finish a task like that, I like to look at what are some tools that I can get for the next time to make it a bit easier on myself. So for the next time, instead of using this sieve again, I want to try to find myself one that has a rotating handle, because I've heard that those are just a bit better at dispersing, I guess, a baking soda in this case, a bit more evenly than using something like this. For this time, I want to try to incentivize myself to just finally go ahead, order those products, and then next time the task comes around, then it'll be hopefully a bit easier to do that task again. Okay, so the next thing that I want to give a clean is my boyfriend's bike bags and his backpack, which they haven't been cleaned in quite some time and they're starting to smell. So I like to combine them with other tasks that I had to do anyway. So for example, here I just had to clean some bags after going on holiday. It has this toiletry bag, which is kind of starting to stain at the bottom, so I thought I may as well give them a clean. Speaking of refreshing items, so I know that a lot of people keep their wool coats or more fancy jackets, suits, dresses, etc. in perhaps a closet in the attic bedroom or in a guest bedroom and not in their main bedroom. And so you also want to try to remember to give those a refresh every once in a while. So what I want to do now, since it's also nice weather and it's definitely time to do it as it's also getting quite dusty, this thing should have definitely had a jacket cover over it, which I did order, but I just thought, what's the point of putting it over there since all these suits and pants are still quite dusty. So basically what I want to do now is take all these downstairs, give them a quick shake, wipe off all the dust with one of those rolly thingies, whatever they're called again. And then maybe give some of them a good steam, put them back here, and then finally put the cover over it. So let me get started with that. And if you're going to do this, then also don't forget to clean over the hangers, because you see that some of them are very dusty. And also, FYI, you want to keep your clothing items like this out of the sunlight, which is why they're here and not in an area like over there. Now, the way I like to divide my cleaning task most of the time is to do this sort of regular general cleaning, and that I will put onto a strict routine schedule. But then I also try to have some more, let's call it more of a deep clean, where I go over those items that you kind of want to go over once in a while. And so I thought I would showcase how I did that with the bathroom, as it's pretty much time for me to give it a bit of a deep clean again. Alright, welcome to the bathroom. I'm sorry for the echo in this room. But anyways, so we do have a regular cleaning schedule for the bathroom, and my boyfriend recently cleaned it, so after the bathroom has just been cleaned, it's also a bit of an incentive for me to finally get to that deep clean schedule. And so with this deep clean, I put in my rotating schedule to every 3 or 4 months it'll list 4 to 6 tasks in the bathroom that I don't get to as often as I'd regularly like to, or they're just kind of things that during a regular bathroom schedule you're kind of unbothered to do it, as there's really enough other cleaning tasks to do, but you kind of do want to get to it. So for example, one of them would be cleaning the baseboards. Okay, so I don't want to delay this again until the next bathroom cleaning session and then again delay it, so I'm going to try to finally get started on it. So first thing I'm going to start with is the baseboards. Okay, first thing, got the vacuum. I just find cleaning the baseboards such an annoying task when you're already doing so many other cleaning tasks like vacuuming the entire apartment or cleaning the bathroom. So on days like this, I try to finally tackle those areas. Okay, and next, starting with cleaning the whole baseboards. So I just like to grab a wet rag, put it with some hot water or lukewarm water, and a bit of all-purpose spray. And I always like to start at the least dirty part first and then make my way to the dirtiest part. And then if I also see some dirty marks over the wall, so for example here you see those sort of water stains, then I'll also get rid of those. I mean, really, how often are we getting under the radiator and cleaning that part? And then also take the opportunity to clean those miscellaneous left behind items. Okay, wow, that's already looking so much better. It is many hours later. I probably look terrible now, but we've been having so many issues with the washing machine, so that's taken up the entire day. So I want to end it now by just at least vacuuming the 2 mattresses, and then I'll do everything else tomorrow instead. And now it's time for these 2 mattresses. The next day, so I just want to quickly continue finishing up what I didn't get to finish yesterday. So starting with the shower caddy. Removing these things is just a good opportunity to check if it's not a bit dirty at the back on the glass door, or maybe the shampoo bottles could use a bit of a rinse, because sometimes you have some soap scums at the bottom of them. Okay, now that that's cleared, I can clean the area behind it on the glass door. then lastly, you just want to make sure that it's dry because it's the water that often causes those hard water stains. Alright, now that those are clean, it's time to just give the bottles a quick little check. So sometimes cleaning the bottle in, but also checking if something is empty, needs a refill, needs to be thrown out. Because we all know how easy it is to sometimes leave an empty bottle in the shower for way too long. Alright, I finished cleaning everything and now it's just basically time to put it all back. And I think this time I'll try switching the position of the shower caddies. Okay, first task on the agenda for today done. This already looks so much better, just feels so nice when you clean those areas. Okay, now moving on to the next task that shouldn't take too long again, and that is to clean the bathroom cabinet. Now I have it that every few months, it doesn't mean that you always have to clean it, but just to at least check the inside drawers, because this is again one of those areas that's just very easy to kind of forget about or say you'll do another day. But for me right now, I'm actually a little bit unbothered to do it and it doesn't look too bad. And I want to soon anyways change the organized bins I have here. So then I'll probably just take everything out, give it a clean, and then put it all back, so no real need to do it now. But I will for now, or I'll always try to do it during this moment, is to at least give the outside a clean. Okay, and done. And this is just a simple and effective way to kind of keep up with your cleaning schedule and do some of those more deep clean days. Like in this bathroom here, every 3 months I won't always necessarily clean the shower caddies, but it just depends on how long ago I've done it or if it's looking a bit dirty. And just little things like cleaning the baseboards every so often just makes your bathroom instantly feel so much cleaner. Or I guess it would be the case in any room in your house. Okay, but now with all of that done, I think it's time to move on to continue on, or at least starting with the whole suits refreshing task. Okay, but first I'm gonna remove some of these sport clothes and start folding them later on today. This is the last suit jacket, so now it's time to get the suit pants. But just also make sure that you give it a bit of space, so don't cram them all very close to each other. Just make sure that there's enough room in between each one. Okay, and done. I'll just let those sit for a couple of hours overnight, and if it starts to rain later on, then I can just move the coffee table out of the way and then put it in placement on that. So. This is also one of those tasks I've been meaning to do for so long, so it feels good to have part of it done now. Okay, it's a few days later. I brought up the mattresses and I put some mattress protectors over each mattress. So this one, the big one, and then the 2 single ones. And so now I just have a few last things to do to finish this off. And also I just want to share a few quick tips of some things that I learned to hopefully take better care of an area like this. Okay, so first thing, I think I'm going to give this blanket a wash because it's way too warm to use it now. And then I can just store it in a storage bag. And I'm just going to quickly cover it up to protect it a bit more from dust. Okay, and then one other thing that you can do if you have, like me, an area where you have a bed that you don't use it that often and guests don't use it that often either, is, well, if you're worried about bed bugs, but also in general it's good to do, is that you should move your bed slightly off of the walls, so not have it touching the wall. So I moved it around 10 centimeters off the wall. I mean, that's probably too much. You really only need a few centimeters off of the wall. I think I remember reading a few weeks ago that bed bugs have an easier time climbing over things like wood bed frames than over something like a metal bed frame. So if you have the option to, then better to get a metal bed frame, if it's especially in a room that you don't access that often. Okay, the space is finally done. I mean, I know there's a big mess around it, but at least the bed area is done, just well taken care of. And so now just to take a bit better care of this room, I think I'm going to add it to my schedule to every 3 months, just give it a quick check, and maybe every 4 months just to change those mattress protectors, and perhaps every 1 year just to give those mattresses a good deep clean like I did earlier on. I've also in the meantime ordered a few products to make the cleaning process next time hopefully a bit easier. So I got this Scrub Daddy, what do you call this thing? The baseboard damp cleaner. So you just wet it a bit and then you can use it to clean baseboard. So hopefully that will make it a bit easier next time. And I also got this thing that I was trying to talk about the last time, but I think I didn't remember exactly the name of it. But unfortunately I need to return it because this is the same problem as the last one that I used, that the sieve area is just way too big, so baking soda pretty much just instantly falls right out the other end. So this was not exactly what I was looking for. And then lastly, I also ordered something to clean the lime scale off of the toilet. I don't know if it will work, but I figure I may as well test it out now. Okay, so I think I'm just going to add in a bit of this now and then leave it to sit for an hour at least, maybe 2 hours, and just come check on it. Okay, I just wanted to throw this in as another example because I thought it was similar to what was said before. So upstairs was about changing things that, well, you don't check that often, so making sure that the bedroom upstairs is relatively clean and maybe changing the mattress protector every few months. But in a bedroom, I assume that you are a bit more on top of that. But you probably have a schedule to change your bed sheets maybe every 2 weeks or something like that. But then, do you also have a schedule for how often you change your mattress protectors? So the reason for mentioning all of this is that it's also best practice to also for these things make a schedule off of it. So what I do, tell myself stay a bit more on top of it, which might sound a bit obvious, but first of all I just make sure to do all of these sort of household linen changing things on the same day. So I'll change the mattress protector and the bed sheets all combined in one day. So anyways, I have the top mattress set to change at the moment every 3 months and the bottom one every 6 months. So this one is due to change today again, which is And then before putting it into the washing machine, I always make sure that the buttons are closed, because if you don't, then the pillowcases can just end up in there. That's quite dusty. Okay, this has been in the living room for way longer than I intended, so it's about time that I get around to it. So I just took the plastic protector thing just to test it out, and you can already see that there's so much dust on top of it, which shows that that prevents it from going onto the clothes. So I will be using this afterwards, but first I'm going to just wipe off the dust off the plastic thing and then take it off and then start working on the suits and jackets underneath. my boyfriend helped lift it up. These things were just super tight, so now I can start cleaning it. Okay, done, and now time to get this thing back on there. Alright, now that everything is prepared, I can go ahead and start getting rid of the dust. Now, I'm just going to use these reusable upholstery brushes, but the only annoying thing about these things is that you can only really go over 2 to 3 suits before it starts getting too dusty. So then you have to clean it, wait for it to dry, and then you can start using it again. So I have a bigger one and a smaller one. And I'm also going to try using this thing. It's one of those sort of upholstery brushes, which I also heard that could work for this, so I'm going to try that. But if you want something a bit faster, then apparently there's also one of those where you can just, after every few uses, you can just take off the old peel and put on a new one, and then you can have a fresh, clean one to use. This is also a good opportunity to try to finally clean some of those dusty hangers, and if I see one of those sort of old plastic hangers, then I'll replace this with these new wood hangers that I got. And if you're buying any hangers for your suits or formal items, you always want to make sure that you order the right width size. So, for example, for my boyfriend, as he has wider shoulders than I do, this is, I think, 55 centimeters, then yeah, this will hold his jacket better than if I use one of my hangers or a smaller hanger, for that matter. And then you also want to make sure that it has a bit of a wider edge here so that it supports the shoulders a lot better. And so, first one done. And now same thing for the next one. And the next one done. Okay, it's a few weeks later and I finally finished going through all the clothes with this thing. It was definitely not the most efficient matter to only have one of them, as I could only do 1 to 3 of them, and then I had to clean this, let it dry, and in the evening I could do a few more. But I'm glad it's finally done. And I've kept all of them underneath this blanket here. Just hopefully they didn't get any dustier again. Okay, and well now I just want to grab one piece at a time and then steam it, and then it's fully dusted off, cleaned, and then I can put it back in here, and then once that is here, then I'll have to figure out a way to bring it all upstairs again. Now, quick tip, whenever you're steaming, you never want to just steam directly on the clothing fabric like that, which is why you sometimes get those sort of spurts of water. You want to not touch the fabric and just slightly tilt it downwards, and then the steam will do its thing. So my first one was just to steam all of them and then put them back here with the intention of thinking, okay, well then at least all of them have been completely free of dust and I have a dust cover and they're all clean because they've all been steamed. But I've just been doing it now for the past more than an hour, maybe 2 hours, and it is the most time-consuming thing ever, and I think he wants to get rid of half of them anyways. So there's no real point in doing that right now, so I'll only steam the ones that are either look super wrinkly and just could use a steam, and the ones that I know he wants to keep, and the rest of them I'll just put them here, and then hopefully soon he can declutter them so that we can, just with the ones that we want to keep, put them back into the attic room. Right, so it's a few days later again, and we finished going through everything. So this this is all that he wants to sell slash donate. And then these are the last few items I need to just give a quick clean, perhaps also steam. And the rest of it here has all been cleaned and most of them have been steamed. So now again, in order to bring this rail back up, I need to take off all the items. Okay, done. Okay, if anyone knows how to get glitter out of a suit, then please let me know, because I feel like I've gone over this 5 or 6 times even, and then there's always still a little bit of glitter left. Hello, it's the next day. Now, sadly, I didn't get to finish bringing up all the items yesterday, so that is the plan for today. But first, I want to clean up that area so it's ready to go for all of these items. Done. This is already looking so much better here, and at least these clothes are nice and protected and they won't get super dusty anymore. And then lastly, I need to find a way to kind of tie up the bottom so there's still a bit of ventilation, because you don't want it to be fully covered so that you trap some moisture in there. So maybe, for example, I can just leave part of the bottom open so that there is still a bit of ventilation going into this area for the clothing rail. But good progress made. This has been on the to-do list for so long. Okay, it's a few days later and I had to order a couple of new items to hopefully get this project done. So first thing, since this one came actually from my closet bedroom, so I want to put those into this thing instead and then put this somewhere else. Okay, I've also just brought out my laptop because I've also taken over time a few pictures of all his jackets and suits, so I'm thinking it might be a bit more efficient for the ones that are going to go in here, thus the ones that are planning on selling, that I put them into separate albums so that instead of having to go to the box every time and see what's in there, then we can just also refer back to these pictures. Okay, I'll just set that aside there for now. Alright, so as for the next task, I just want to quickly declutter these hangers, and then for the ones that we want to keep but are not really being used right now, put them into some extra storage bag. Okay, after a quick 30-second declutter, I think these are the ones that we can get rid of. And then they can always be decluttered more if need be. But at least I just want to get them out of the way now. Also, not the most ideal solution, but I also didn't want to pay 30 euros for a plastic box just to temporarily store some plastic or extra clothing hangers in there. Okay, this couch is finally clear again, so I'm just gonna fold these things and then put them back. And that means that all the couch pillows that we're hiding behind can also finally be placed back. Alright, so one other thing that I thought I would quickly clean up right now is that I noticed that the bottom of these suit pants was starting to fray a bit, and you want to be very careful with using fabric shavers, especially the electric fabric shavers. So instead you can get something called a cashmere brush, I believe, and then you can carefully shave them off this way. I'm afraid to rip it, so I'm going to stop here before I go too far with it. Okay, so now that this thing is cleared again, I can put these things back into there and then put this storage bag back upstairs. So things are slowly getting cleaned up. back there. So yesterday I finished off the very last thing that I needed to do to finish off this whole task, and that is to create some labels of some last minute to-dos that I want to get done in the future. So for example, for this suit, since it still had that glitter that I couldn't get off, I just used some ribbon to create a label saying bring to dry cleaner, and then see if they can get rid of the glitter, and then also see if they can maybe carefully remove the rest of the pilling on the pantsuits. And then I also had another pair of pants here that also had some yellow stains in there, so maybe in the future I can just try doing it or bring it to a dry cleaner and seeing if they can get rid of those stains. And I just find that having those little to-dos also just helps to know what you need to do with them in the future. Okay, but besides that, I'm so happy that this very time-consuming task is finally done.